BBC Coventry and Warwickshire.
Like 'em. 22 minutes to 10. The fight against Japanese knotweed is over. It seems the government's run up the white flag and about £1.5 billion as well. The Environment Minister, George Eustace, says that trying to eradicate the plant, which is one of those that was brought in again by the Victorian plant hunters from around the world, could cost about £1.5 billion, with only the Orkney Islands not having an issue with it. That's pretty serious, isn't it? Mike Clough is a knotweed expert and the boss of the Manchester-based Japanese knotweed solutions company. He's with us. Morning, Mike.
Good morning.
What do you think about the Environment Minister flying the white flag? Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised, really. I mean, to be quite honest, the government haven't been having an active Japanese knotweed eradication strategy. What they have done is hoped that the introduction of the Aphelara itadori psyllid from Japan would stop Japanese knotweed in its tracks, and it hasn't done. That's what this comment is about. It's basically saying that the insect isn't proving to be as big a success as they hoped, and they're basically saying that they haven't got the funding to carry out a more proactive campaign against Japanese knotweed. Nothing's changed, really.
Yeah. You do worry, though, don't you? I mean, I'm sitting there I know you're more, you speak from a greater strength of knowledge of all of this, but I'm sitting there as a layman thinking, so hang on a second, we introduced this plant which has become virulent, so we thought it'd be a great idea to import an insect, and like, where do you stop with all this? That doesn't seem like...
I wrote a blog about this a while ago, remembering a poem from my childhood, which was the lady that swallowed the spider.
I didn't want to bring it down to that level, but I'm glad you have.
I've said this all along, and being the proactive businessman that I am, I also patented psyllid aphid solutions, because I imagined at some stage in the future we might all be fighting these aphids from Japan as well.
Right. Is that still on the cards, is it, Mike, do you think?
The aphid, I think, will, over a longer period of time, slow the spread of Japanese knotweed, but it was never intended to kill it. And as usual with these things, when it was first introduced, the press picked up on this as the silver bullet to eradicate Japanese knotweed, and it was never intended at that. It was simply intended to slow the growth down.
Yeah.
I think active campaigns by companies such as myself with landowners is the way to get rid of Japanese knotweed. It shouldn't create panic in people. It is a plant at the end of the day, but you do have to take it seriously. That's the point I try and get across.
You've never seen the day of the Triffids then, obviously. You've never...
I have.
Oh, okay, all right. So
I've even used it in a marketing campaign some time ago. I thought it was sending the wrong message, really.
In terms of this aphid that came in and didn't work, I mean, I just wonder whether the left hand knows what the right hand's doing, because didn't we introduce the harlequin ladybird, which presumably predates these things as well, doesn't it?
The harlequin was an accidental introduction from Europe.
Right.
The psyllid was brought in on purpose to predate on Japanese knotweed, and it was done with the greatest of skill. A gentleman called Dick Shaw from Cabby will tell you in great detail how the psyllid would work and how it would only eat Japanese knotweed and wouldn't eat anything else, and it has been given a huge amount of thought. I think the problems have been that you are in a completely different climate, and we all know that the vagaries of the British weather, and I think it's simply that the psyllid hasn't managed to cope with the British weather, and it's been a weakened clone of an original psyllid that was introduced some years ago. But I think I'm still hoping it's going to work in the longer term, but, to repeat, it's not going to kill Japanese knotweed. If you've got Japanese knotweed at the bottom of your garden, you need to do something about it. You need to be proactive about it.
And the problem is with all of this, as I understand it, I mean, if you're trying to sell your house, I mean, this is you might as well put the mark of the Black Death on your front door, mightn't you? You've got more chance of selling it.
There has been a lot of bad reaction from surveyors, and surveyors have been telling people that your property is now unsellable. I would argue that all the time. If you take an active approach to eradicating your Japanese knotweed, take photographs, share what you've done, keep a record of the activity that you've done. Somebody might say, well, I'm going to withhold £500 from your mortgage because I might need to get somebody else in to deal with the Japanese knotweed. But it shouldn't stop your mortgage. We are hoping to work with the RICS in the near future to come up advisory note for surveyors to help people
Right.
when they're trying to sell their house. So
So-
it shouldn't stop you.
What if I phoned you and said, Mike, I've got Japanese knotweed? What likely bill would I end up with then? How much would it cost me in real terms?
Typically, what mortgage applications require is what's called an insurance-backed product. That is the element that's going to cost you some money.
Right.
And that basically is a product that's guaranteed to cover you for a period of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, depending on how long you want it for. And that will cost you, upwards of £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 is that sort of level.
So it's a significant
It's a
cost, yeah. If you've got to do it, but then of course if it means that you can't sell your property because the advice to surveyors is such at the moment, then I suppose if you look at it as a longer term investment, then maybe you've got to do it, haven't you? I mean, there's no half measures with this stuff. You can't go down the local DIY Mike and go and buy some stuff, can you? For this, it's specialist.
The more worrying thing for me when the Environment Minister is waving a white flag is that quite often you will have Japanese knotweed in your garden that's grown from adjacent local authority land. Now, if the Environment Minister is waving his white flag and saying we've got no money, we can't do it, then the problem you've got is if you eradicate it in your garden and the adjacent local authority land has Japanese knotweed, it's going to keep coming into your garden. And those are the issues that are more problematic. You can take action against the adjacent landowner, but then that gets into a complicated legal dispute. So I'm worried as to why he's made this statement, to be honest, because I think all it's going to do is make people panic. But such is the life of a minister, I suppose.
Are you rushed off your feet at the moment?
We're very busy. We're very busy.
So people are prepared to say, I need to treat this seriously and I need to deal with it. Then, obviously.
I think yes, it's very much the case, and there are new powers, new bits of legislation floating around. If you don't do anything about it, you could. Worst case scenario, could get served an ASBO if you're a private homeowner, and you can get significant fines if you are a commercial landowner and don't do anything about it. So there is some quite serious legislation around. But I just keep coming back to, take it seriously, don't just ignore it, do something about it, and you should be fine.
Mike, good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Excuse me, Mike Clough joining us on the show.
BBC Coventry and Warwickshire.